Welcome everyone to the Success Partners International Wednesday Training Zoom. This is Lynn Schuessler Williams in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a speaker, coach, and author, and I am so fired up for this training tonight. We start every call with Success Partners with our signature message, because each and every person on this line can say, I am part of a growing team of entrepreneurs with a shared mission to protect and empower 2 million families and small businesses with Legal Shield's network of law firms and world-class identity theft services. What we do matters, and we're looking for help. And with that, I am so excited for our Wednesday call. And if you're a brand new associate, I want to remind you and your sponsor to be sure to go together to begintheascent.com and click on the Getting Started tab, because there you're going to find your roadmap to your journey with Legal Shield. And sometimes on this call, we go through that map, but tonight we are going to hear from a phenomenal person who has made a great success in this business. And Timber has started this business when she was 23 years old. 23 years old. I just love that. She has her $100,000 ring. She has sold over 2,500 personal memberships, and she has an incredible journey to share with us. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce and turn the call over to Ms. Timber Mosley. And Timber, you're muted and you'll need to unmute your microphone. There you go. Thanks so much for being with us. Take it away.
I'm so thankful that as a millennial, I was taught how to, I don't really consider myself a millennial, but I'm so thankful I was taught how to do Zoom tonight, because I don't ever really do Zoom, guys. Not saying that it's not the best thing to do. Like, I want to learn it now, because if all you guys can master it, I can master it too. But my name's Timber Mosley. I'm 30 years old. Oh, it's so weird to say I'm 30 now. I just turned 30 years old. And when I was, I guess, in my 20s, my goal was to have a $100,000 ring before I was 30. I turned 30, and a month later, I got a phone call that I had a $100,000 ring. So God works stuff out on his own timing. We don't always get to pick how it happens, but it happened when it needed to happen. My mentor always says, how long is it going to take? And that's Nick Serva, and he says as long as it took. So it took as long as it took. And hopefully to get another $100,000 ring, it's not going to take as long. So that's awesome. Little bit about me. I'm a second generation Legal Shield associate, and I'm going to tell you guys tonight just a little bit about how you can incorporate recruiting into your everyday life. But I also want to tell you guys a little bit about how I got into Legal Shield, because I think it's pretty cool. So I guess in 1999, my mom was working at a factory connection store, and she was making $240 a week as a single mom of 3 children. And it's real weird how fate works. It's real weird how divine appointments work. But this man came by because he could see her in her store selling, and he knew that she would be perfect at what we called back in the day prepaid legal, which is now Legal Shield. And so he said, hey, ma'am, I know you might not be interested, but I want you to go to this meeting with me. You've got to see what I can do, and it can supplement your income part-time. And if this man would have quit on my mom and not continued to follow up with her, he'd have missed out on somebody that sold 8,000 Legal Shield memberships. So basically, he just kept messing with her until she finally decided to go to the meeting with her. Well, we're from Arkansas, and we're just kind of taught to, have discernment, like understand that if something sounds too good to be true, looks too good to be true, it might be too good to be true. So when she went to what we call a briefing this day and time, and she saw it at first, if he would have just stopped there, she would have never got into Legal Shield, because the person that was up in front of the room, the way they were talking was not really something that she wanted to be a part of, and she wasn't going to do it. But being a single mom and only making $240 a week, when the man said, I'll give you $100 if you'll go into the B2B space with me and pass out clipboards, it'll take 20 minutes. I know your off day's on Tuesday. Can you go with me? She went with him to an enrollment, and she understood at first that she was getting $100. Well, then she got to thinking about it, and she's like, how is this man going to pay me $100 for 20 minutes of work? Like, is he trying to date me? Does he think I'm cute? What's he trying to do? So basically, whenever she found out that he was giving her $100, she finally was like, hey, hold up. I don't think you should give me $100. Like 50 will work. whatever. And he's like, no, I'm giving you 100 because I make $100 per clipboard. And she counted them, and they had sold 28 out of 32 people. And she's like, I think I'm on the wrong side of this deal. I need to be passing out clipboards and selling the product too. If that redneck from Arkansas can do it, I can do a way better job than him, and I probably would have got 30 out of 32. And so what she actually did was right then and there on the spot, she signed up. Now, what happened was she was supposed to be getting a bonus for Christmas, which was $1,500. It would have been $500 for each child to buy a nice Christmas for me and my siblings. And when she went to go open the check from Factory Connection, it was $150. She had been doing Legal Shield part-time, and she wasn't planning on taking it on full-time. But my mom's kind of a hothead, so she threw the keys in the middle of the floor at the Factory Connection and went to work full-time with Legal Shield. Now, I'm not telling anybody to quit their jobs. I'm just telling you that's her story. And now with my story, what's just like really, really super cool is for a long time, my mom was told residual income will happen, residual income will happen, it'll happen, it'll happen, it'll happen. I'm not really supposed to get in her back office, but I do get in her back office every day, either to look up one of our groups or, you know, have stuff in mine as well. But so it's just like I'll either type in her stuff or my stuff. And in 2011, the worst thing that could happen in life, because life happens, was my brother got arrested for armed robbery. He actually made national news, and that was in March. And in April, my oldest sister went to rehab. And so with both of those things happening, it was kind of just one of those things that from 2000 to 2011, she worked her business, and she did her business the right way. And so when those things happened, it wasn't a single mom anymore operating off of $240. It was a mama who could take care of her kids for a year so they could get rehabilitated, and they're both productive adults now. And she made no less than $7,000 a month while she was helping my brother and my sister get help that they needed. And I actually took on going and working her groups because this was never going to be Timber Mosley's career. I wanted to be like the next Ellen DeGeneres, you know, the next Oprah, second generation, something like that, and like really help people and encourage and inspire people. But I'm gonna tell you guys something, by going and selling this product, I have inspired many people, and I know I've done a lot of things for people that they couldn't have done for themselves. So I started the first day of being an associate, I guess when I was 21, 22 years old. I was working for a car dealer as his personal assistant. He's actually probably the number 8 car dealer in the whole nation as far as how many cars he sells a year. And I was super like just thinking, I mean, I'm already making $1,200 a week and I'm 21 years old. Why would I need to do something like that? But also at the same time, my mother needed help getting her groups done. And well, I went to Dillard's and I spent some money out of my mom's checking account one day, and she was like, well, to pay me back, you're going to go do a presentation. So she went in one school building, I went in another school building, and I said, I really don't know what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say it. She said, you should know, you mock me all the time. Go in there and sell some memberships. So I went in, did a presentation, and I had already been built up to director because everybody she recruited, she'd put under my leg. And so when I went in and I was a director and I did the presentation, I didn't realize even what I would get paid or that it would be substantial. And when I walked out, I was like, how many days am I going to have to do that to pay you back? And she's like, well, you actually paid me back today because I sold 9 doubles and I was so happy. It's over $1,000 day. I paid her back and I was like, oh, that's awesome. But then on the way home, it was a 2-hour trip. I was thinking to myself, I just made $1,000 in a day doing something that takes me usually 40 to 60 hours a week to do. And I didn't have to work on a Saturday to get that done. Maybe I should be working for this company. And so I just started kind of going with her here and there. And I kind of just fell in love with it. I went into a school district one day and there was a lady there, and I didn't know anything about recruiting then. I didn't understand that we were supposed to be recruiting. I didn't understand we're supposed to be looking for people, but we're not really supposed to look for people in our groups. But knowing what I know now, I probably would have called her after the presentation because she was a cheer coach at one of the school districts. And my mom had woke me up because she was like, get up, Timber, we're going to ED. And back then, I was just trying to get my performance club points. Like, I wasn't trying to be an ED. I wasn't trying to be a rock star. And if I just sold my 5 a month, I was happy because I loved my $500 a month car bonus. I was just like, that's just awesome. Like, we're 21 years old, $500 is like $2,000. So I was just kind of like, okay, Mom, we can go do that today. Just because sometimes I just like being around my mom, and that's why I would go do it. And went to this school district. I didn't know anything about identity theft protection or like how to sell it. And I'm doing the presentation, and I meet this crazy lady, and she comes in there and she's like, man, parents are crazy. Everybody needs that service. Let me fill out that paperwork. And then next comes in her best friend, and she's like, you need to buy this product, $15.95 a month. You can't beat that. You know, that's what it was back then. You need to get this. And I'm just sitting there thinking, this is really crazy, because I'm not even telling these people what this product does. They're just looking at the brochure and realizing that this can help them for stuff at their school, and they're signing up. And before you knew it, I had 30 memberships in my hand because we had fed these people barbecue. And I could walk outside, and my mom's like, I'm not going to ED because I only have 9. I said, well, I got 30. Let's drive to the home office. And we went from Ashdown, Arkansas, which is right on the Texarkana line, to Ada, Oklahoma. And when you leave Arkansas to go across the Texas line to go into Oklahoma, like where Lake Eufaula and all that's at, you don't have any phone service. So like while we're driving through there, we don't have any phone service. We're just going straight to the home office. There's no scanning back then, and I'm sitting there filling in associate only, all my mom's name and all of them. Get to the home office, and Ken Moore scoots over and says, hey, you want to use my desk? Because his desk was right inside the door. We filled out all the paperwork. And I didn't even know how much my mom made that day. And I didn't get any of it, but I don't care. It was just about the fact that we were going to hit executive director. And that's been my mindset from the get-go, is it's not about where you're at any point in the month. It's about how you're going to finish and get it done. And I can tell you guys, if you're on this phone call and your goal is, you know, senior associate, don't just say like, I want to be a senior associate. Like, figure out exactly what you need to do. Write it out, map it out, know who you're going to sell, when you're going to sell, how you're going to sell to get there. And when you do that in your business is going to take off, because we all have to do inventory. I think about it like this. If I bought a McDonald's tomorrow, they're going to charge me $2 million for the franchise. But I'm going to do what every other McDonald's does, right? I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to try to give them 5 pickles on their burger when they need 3. They're going to get 3 just like everybody else. If I hand somebody napkins, I'm not handing them 50, I'm handing them 2, just like everybody else gets in their bag. If somebody wants a ketchup, cool, you can have 1, but you're not getting 4 or 5 or 6, because if that's your business, you have to take inventory on what's coming in and what's being made and what's going out. It took me a lot of years to realize that, guys, because I worked so hard and not always so smart. Control your date book. Create a ratio. Know how many people you have to talk to get where you need to be. What I mean by that is, there's some people on this call that can talk to 2 people and sell 1. But then there's some people on this call that are going to have to talk to 10 people to sell 1. But one day you'll become a 2 and 1. You just have to master what you're doing. And I was talking to Timber earlier, and I was like, you know, first off, I didn't say how much I love Timber. I love Timber Halligan, and my name's Timber. And anytime he gets a rock star on his team, the corporate office calls me, and they're like, hey, Timber, where's that person at that's on your team? And I'm like, that's Timber Halligan, not Timber Mosley. And so we get confused all the time when we recruit somebody good on who is actually the one that recruited them. It's kind of funny. But what I can tell you guys is, I was sitting up by Timber at convention, and I have never met anybody that's more laser focused than him as far as how hard he works and how much he can get done. But then again, how he treats his people. So when he asked me to be on this call, I was like, that's an honor, because he's one of my heroes that I look up to. The reason I think I like him the most is because I'm a numbers person, and he doesn't just talk the talk, but he also walks the walk. So he's somebody that actually does the dang thing. He don't just come on here and tell y'all you should be doing this or you should be doing that. You can literally go look at the leaderboard, and he's always on it. So that's awesome. So I emulate what he's doing, because he's doing something sometimes I'm not doing. So that's awesome. But what I was saying is, when you're looking for how this is going to work for you, just let's write down 3 or 4 notes, take 3 or 4 nuggets. It's probably things you've already heard before, but I'm just going to reiterate it, because I've been told that once you tell somebody something 2 to 3 to 4 times, that's when they'll start retaining it. But number 1, I do not have to be an expert to make money. I was at a Brian Crothers event. It was literally like what I call a lock-in, because it was in Birmingham, Alabama. They literally shut us in that room from like 10 a.m. We stayed there till 8 o'clock at night. So we were with Brian Crothers for 10 hours. Okay, and I have ADD. So all I got out of that training was, you don't have to be an expert to make money. But I want you guys to write that down, Because when somebody comes on as your associate, somebody asked me last year, like, how did you level up the most people in the whole company? Well, the reason I leveled up the most people in the company is because when I got somebody that was new, I said, in the first 24 to 48 hours is when you're going to be the most excited about your business. But I'm not launching your business if you're not ready to call 6 people with me and spend at least 30 minutes to an hour of doing 3-ways with me. Because if I do group by day and I sell 50 to 60 memberships every single month, which I do, I did 700 last year, then why would I want to sit down with somebody at night and work with them who's not willing to do what I need them to do? So I directly tell them, hey, this is what I need you to do to work with me. Because think about it. If you were to go start up a business tomorrow and you were going to have people on your payroll, are you going to pay people who don't follow the schedule, do the activities that you tell them to do, have the objectives to get certain goals and duties done? There's always daily duties and descriptions in every job that you do. So it's not really that I'm going to be their boss, because they're going to be an independent associate. But if they're going to be frontline to me, they're going to, in the first 24 to 48 hours, work 30 minutes to an hour with me 3-way and their closest family members and friends to see who they know that's going to be willing to start the business with them. Then after that, most of the time we're going to get 1 to 2 sales out of that. Maybe sometimes we level them up because they're real credible and everybody we call likes them. But a lot of times it takes 2 to 3 days to level somebody up of those 30 minutes to an hour. But if you don't want to spend that time with people, then be prepared for chargebacks. Be prepared for things to come back on your business, because it's good to be proper with individuals. I look at my career in Legal Shield, and I had my mom holding my hand at all times. And if I had somebody like my mom holding my hand, then why would I treat people like a number instead of a name? Everybody on my team's a name. I know their children. I know something about them. I know what they like to do, and I care about them. And once people on your team become that to you, it's going to be amazing how much more you can do for them, because they'll start wanting to work because they realize that they're helping you and they like you as a person because of how you treated and loved on them. But one of the best things you can do for your people when they start is become the pace setter of your business. So I remember going to Old Navy when I was a kid, and there was the people that would check you out that didn't have a title, and then there was people that were pace setters. And the reason they were pace setters is because when they were at work, they were always selling a certain amount, doing a certain amount. So if you're going to be a leader, you got to ask yourself, how could I set the right pace and tempo for my team? And I feel like one of the things that helps with that is setting up a schedule for that person to get them into production with you. Number 2, what is your commitment level? And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm sitting there and I'm at like 1,000 points and I got 1 day left in the month, I'm going to call everybody that I have on my team. Plus I'm going to go do an enrollment that day. Plus I'm going to go to somebody's house that night. And it might just be somebody that's like, a girl did my home security and the other day, and I said, hey, you did my home security. I need to talk to you about Legal Shield. And she was like, but why would we need to talk about that? And I'm like, because I'm not going to spend $50 a month with you if you can't spend $50 a month with me. And if you don't think that that's okay, then I guess I'll just cancel my home security. It's your choice. Well, I knew how much she made off the front end of it, and she made a whole lot more off of what I bought than what I was going to make off her. And she's also my friend. So do business with people that are going to do business with you. It'll make such a large impact on your business. But commitment level, what are you committed to? What are you willing to give up? I've told people before, I don't think I'd be a good bridesmaid in your wedding because we're having convention that week, and I'd rather go to the convention than come to your wedding. I mean, that's where I was at. But I'm also 30 years old, and by the time I'm 40, I'm not going to work anymore. Am I saying that to brag? No. But the thing about it is I know where I'm at, where I want to be, and how I'm going to get there. I've taken inventory on my business. So I understand that, like, if I sell 1,000 memberships a year from now until 40, which is my goal, which is completely achievable because I did 700 last year and I only went back into the B2B space in March, then what I can honestly do at that point in time is understand that if I have 5,000 active members that I sold myself, that I'll be having at least $150,000 to $200,000 a year as earned income just off myself. And then I want to go out and I want to look for business professionals who can come into my business and complement what I'm doing. Why do I like them? Because if they've already been in the business professional space, they're going to have a lot of people that they can lead me to. Follow your dollar. Like, who do you go to church with? Who have you not talked to yet? Who have you been embarrassed to talk to? Maybe because you just think that what you're doing might be beneath them, or you've let that lie be told to yourself when it's not really true. Because I can't tell you how much I kick myself when I walk back into businesses that I could have already asked. And I sit down and I ask them if I can do business with them. And they're like, we were just waiting on you to come ask. And the thing about it is like, if you don't ask, you can't receive. But when you're looking for people, look for people who are going to bring something to your table. I met a guy that was a really good Christian, and I don't know if he'll be as good of a salesperson as me, but I said, hey, you know what? I'd be real thankful to have you on my team so that we could pray together and you could tell me what some of the things in the Bible mean that I don't understand yet. Because I think that would be a good partnership, because if I'm getting some fruitfulness from what you're telling me, then that's a complementing relationship and you're bringing some to my table. And then I'm going to show you how to feed your family. Because if you can make more money, you also can go minister to a lot more people. I signed this preacher up, had a PBR with him. He had 35 people at his first PBR because he knows a lot of people. He's in a center of influence position where he has a network of people that can come to a PBR. Understand that spending money will make you money. I went through Little Caesars. I got pizzas. I took them to that PBR because if he's an associate and I'm a silver executive director, I'm going to make plenty of money. I can go spend $100 of food on food. If you're sitting there and you're trying not to spend $100 on food, you can get a Sam's Club card, go to Sam's Club, get a crock pot, put some barbecue in it that's in the frozen food aisle, get some buns that go with it, and feed everybody barbecue and Lay's potato chips. You can feed 40 people for probably right around $35 doing that. When I didn't have a lot of money in my business, I found ways to get inventive and creative about it because I still had to go home and be a single mom and pay for all the things at home. So as I was getting to the level that I'm at today, I just found things that accommodated what I was doing. But there's not really an excuse except for, just getting out there. If you sell a membership, the tide goes in and the tide goes out. Understand that you need to put some of that money back to invest back in your business. Going to your events, going to your Super Saturdays, going to your group schools. My mom is a group school teacher, so I have a built-in group school teacher at my house, and I still go to group schools. I go to all the fast start trainings that I can get to with my new people because it shows them that I'm willing to do that with them. What are they going to do in return? When they get people, they're going to duplicate what they saw. A lot of times people follow the business model of how they were brought in. So if you were brought in at a briefing, you bring your people to the briefing because it's trained in your mind that that's how you're going to get people in because that's how you were brought in. So what is your commitment level? And you need to really check yourself with that because there were a lot of times that I had to say, okay, Timber, you got to slow down and not be so committed and be happy with what you have. Like I was on the flip side of the person that worked too hard, and you can get there too. So like, be happy with what you have and be happy with the season that you're going through because a lot of times our seasons that we go through lead us to the season of the winning, the harvest that's getting reaped because of the seeds that we plant. I want to tell you the coolest thing that happens when you stick and stay. And that was my third topic, was sticking and staying, so that whenever you don't have to be an expert to make money, but as you go, you're going to master your craft. Whenever you're committed, you don't have to worry about what's thrown at you because you're going to be mentally tough enough up here to deal with anything that comes your way. And then when you stick and stay, the kind of things that can happen for you. So I have a lot of people on my team that for whatever reason, they're not going to go out and talk to people like me. So what I have them do is I have them set me appointments, and I go into those appointments and I talk the new small business plan. Why do I do that? Because I love the fact that if I had 3 of those in a day, I'm going to sell one of them. And one of them, if I'm splitting with somebody at $89 plus the person's personal plan, pays me about $400 that day to run appointments for somebody on my team. So what I do is I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I want to get the most people in Performance Club I can on my team. So when Melissa Wilder launched this small business thing, I was like, man, I got to get into that. That's awesome. Like I've been obsessed with the small business plan since I thought about it. I just have never made myself sit down and digest what we really have. But when I went and sat down with Nick Serber one day, he said, you know why we created the small business plan, don't you? And I said, no. And he said, well, he was part of the instrumental part of creating it. And he said, it's because if you go look up business owners on Manta, 97% of them don't have $10,000 in case a civil lawsuit happens to them. So I sold my dad a small business plan. He's had 3 incidents that his company could have been shut down, if he wouldn't have had the Legal Shield advice from an attorney, because they actually had attorneys that specialized in the things that his business was going through. So he was my first success story with that. But on the recruiting part of it, with like just looking for a team, small business owners are the perfect people to recruit. So the last 7 or 8 appointments I've done, I've also been able to talk to people about this opportunity. And one day it was like my light bulb went off, because Mark Brown is my business partner and he used to be the CEO of our company. And what he did was he had his first PBR and nobody came. But he knew a lot of small business owners because of the fact that he had been in that type of work owning a print shop. So he had another PBR and he invited a lot of the small business owners because our product had helped his business not have a lawsuit, which would have put his business under. And then he went from having a PBR with nobody coming to eventually earning $1 million a year. That's the kind of business I want to have. So like, I want to go out and look for people who are already hustling, so that when I bring them onto my team, they're going to understand what we're doing and they're going to incorporate Legal Shield in their day-to-day life. When somebody can incorporate what we're doing into what they're doing daily, you will talk to your 2 people a day without even realizing you're doing it. Do I get all funky with tools? Do I sit there and put people into prospect? Yes, I do. But prospect is just a tool. If you don't open your mouth and talk to people, it doesn't do you any good. So like, when I go sit down and I show somebody prospect, I have to call them, not text them, but pick up the phone and call them and say, what did you like best about that video? The reason I call them is because I can tell from their voice if they were happy with it. Sometimes they don't understand it. And it's the hardest thing in the world for somebody to say, hey, I watched that whole video and I don't get what they're talking about. But I would say about 20% of the people I send it to, they're like, I don't really understand what just happened in that video. So then I'm like, well, which part did you not get? Because if somebody's ever been turned off by network marketing before, I need to know what their holdback is. And that's why I call them and I never text them. If you text them and it works for you, that's awesome. Everybody can have a different story. But what I wanted to tell you guys is when I started calling them, I started closing a lot more people, because I could ask them, hey, what did you like? What did you not like? If you're not going to do this, if you don't mind me asking, give me some negative feedback. Be confident in taking negative feedback, because if you can take what people negatively tell you and you can turn that into a positive, you really can become a force to be reckoned with within your business. But like, when I talk to my 2 a day, it might just be something casual. Like I walk through Dillard's every month on the 7th and I buy one thing. And when I'm checking out, they're like, we see you a lot at this counter. And I'm like, yeah, you see me a lot because I get a performance club check and that's my money that I spend on me. What's a performance club check? Well, that's real funny that you should ask. If I was to show you a video, would you watch it? And I see Timber doing that all the time. I do the same thing. He got that from somebody. I got that from somebody too. Like, we're not in the same organization, but the thing about it is like, you don't have to come in and decide to do something fancy. Just go talk to 2 people a day if you're part-time, 5 people a day if you're full-time. And it's proven track record that if you would talk to the 2 people a day consistently and start getting other people within your organization to do the same, you can earn 6 figures a year doing it. There was a guy one time in Oklahoma, and he's always at the Tulsa Super Saturdays when I go speak. And he wanted to prove everybody wrong that that wouldn't happen for him if he did that. And he was a doctor and he was retiring from being a doctor. And so he's like, I'm going to do this because these people over here in this pyramid scheme are horrible. And they're lying about becoming a 6-figure ring earner. He went every day and talked to 2 people. And guess what happened? On day like 340, he was $100,000 ring earner because he literally went and talked to the 2 people a day. And then taught his people to talk to 2 people a day. So what I want to tell you guys is, first off, it's awesome to work for a company that can't be duplicated. You can't go find us on the Walmart shelf. It's awesome to work for a company that the membership does work. And as long as you under-deliver and you let the law firm over-deliver for you, you'll have very happy and satisfied members. And it's very awesome to find out how to do a tagline and be strong in being able to do a membership presentation. If you can do those things and you can lead with that membership and get people really thoroughly interested in buying the plan, it is amazing what can happen for your business. And I don't have very much more time, but I just want to tell you guys, do something different than what you've done if things aren't working for you. I can tell you guys that where my business shifted was about 4 years ago. I had Jeff Bell and Mark Brown come and do the event in Tunica, Mississippi, which is my event that I throw in the South every year. And when they came to do the event, was pretty cool picking the former CEO up and putting him in my car, and then having the new CEO, because Jeff Bell had just became the CEO like within a year, and they're sitting there talking about how we're going to launch this identity theft app. And Jeff Bell said, "Would you like to be the first person to see this app?" And I was like, "Sure." And I wasn't blown away by the fact that we had an app. I was blown away by the fact that when I started selling this, even when we didn't have all that stuff, it was a completely sellable product. But I was blown away with how far we had came and how much we had innovated. It blows me away to be like 20 years old and we were worth 660 million. Then at 25 we were worth 2 billion. And then I can't wait to see what we're going to be worth when I'm 40 years old. But I just know that we're not here today and gone tomorrow. And I think you're really selling yourself short if you don't go tell everybody that you know about this opportunity, because you have no idea who's going to lead you to somebody that's going to completely spark your business and make everything change. I'm going to end this call by telling one little story of why I kept selling Legal Shield, but I'm actually a single mom too now. I have a 7-year-old. He knows he has a legacy. He knows he has infinite potential, and he knows that he has the ability to do anything he wants to do in the world. And I'm thankful to have the means to pay for those thoughts and beliefs and put him in the activities that he wants to do because of the vehicle that Legal Shield's provided me with. But I'm going to tell you guys where it really went from my head to my heart was I met a woman one day and she said, "I want to tell you about that service you sold me." And I said, "Well, you can cancel it if you want. You don't have to keep it forever." And she said, "No, I will never be without it." She said, "Last year when you came in here and you told me how much it was on payroll deduction, I really didn't know what I was going to have to give up to have that membership, and I really didn't know how I was going to do it or afford it." She said, "Because I really was that," she said, "I was really that low on money that I was eating tuna fish out of a can every day, and I decided to buy your service because there was something so convicting in your voice about why I needed to have it." And I was like, "I believe everybody needs to have it." I said, "Because if you can't afford to have it, you can't afford not to have it." She's like, "Yeah, that's what you said last year, and that's why I signed up." And I was like, "Okay, well, what happened?" She said, "I bought the product from you, and 90 days later, my apartment complex got shot up." And I was like, "Your apartment complex got shot up?" And she said, "Yes, I live in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My apartment complex got shot up." She said, "I went down to the leasing agent to ask him if I could get out of my lease. He said, 'Ma'am, I'd love to let you out of your lease, but if I let you out of yours, everybody else will have to get out of theirs as well.'" And she said, "I don't know if you know how much I make," but she said, "I'm not a teacher, I'm an aide." I said, "That's okay. Aides are just as important as teachers. Like, you're going to be sculpting the future generation of tomorrow because parents aren't raising their kids anymore, and you get to love on those babies." And she said, "Yes, but I'm not talking about loving on people's babies. I'm telling you, I make $400 a week, and you don't know how much money it would have cost for me to be able to move." She said, "I would have never come up with the money." She said, "My husband got arrested, and he's in jail. We don't have any money besides my $400 a week." And I said, "Oh." And she said, "But I bought the product from you because I liked you. You brought everybody food, and I didn't think I could go without having it. And plus, I understood if something ever happened, if I couldn't afford to have it, I couldn't afford not to have it." Well, she went down to that leasing agent. He said, "I can't let you out of the lease. I'm sorry." She felt like she had failed her children and most of all failed herself. And as she was walking back to that apartment, she said that my head popped in her face, like, about, "Hey, let's call that legal lady." When she called me, she was bawling on the phone, telling me, "I don't know what to do. This is what's happened." And I just remembered contract and document review, Title II of our plan. And I said, "Hey, in Title II, we'll review that contract for you. Have them review your lease." And in the lease, it said if her lease ever became an unsafe environment, not only would she be relocated to the place of her choice, but all damages would be mitigated and the lease would be terminated effective immediately. They had to pay $900 for her first month's rent, $900 for her deposit at her new house, and she was actually able to get brand new living room furniture inside of her house because when the bullets went through the front door, they went through her living room couch where her 2 kids play every day. And we were able to help her do all that just by the Title II part of our benefit. So that went from my head to my heart. I'm so happy I can tell the story without crying now because I used to bawl because it just bothered me so much that people would have to go through things like that. But there's people that are laying in bed every single night and they don't know what they're going to do to fix their problems. And above making money, we have an answer to a solution to a problem that's a very big problem because it's sad that people go to bed not knowing what to do about things because they don't have money. So go out, talk to 2 people a day, sell that membership first, and then just tell them about what you made when you marketed them that product and show them your website. Tell them you get paid the next day by 2 p.m. Central, because when you can get somebody paid 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 times a week opposed to only making money every 2 weeks. That keeps people's bank accounts from going into overdraft fees. And at the end of the day, if you're your brother's keeper and you live for one and you live for self, or you can decide to be a Timmer or John Drennan or, you know, anybody that's on this call and live for others, that's so much better. And I want to tell the host, thank you. Congratulations on being the ladies of justice panel and being executive director. I think it's awesome, Miss Lynn. And if anybody wants to look me up on Facebook, message me. I want to be friends with everybody, but I hope y'all enjoyed this call, and I hope I can come again some other time. And I hope that by convention, y'all can come up to me and say, hey, something you told me was good, even though you have ADHD and you go all over the place. So thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Timber. We appreciate you so much. What an awesome training. Oh my gosh. Pages of notes, just really fired up about this. And I don't know if you can see the chat, Timber, on your device, but people are saying, thank you, LOL, awesome, thank you, you're awesome, we love you, we love your kid. Woo-hoo. Wonderful job. Thank you.
I want to tell y'all something weird about my kid. I was in Memphis.
So many wonderful comments.
I was in Memphis, Tennessee, walking through a Walmart, and this woman came up to my kid and said, Mason. And I was like, oh my gosh, how does she know who my kid is? And she had seen him at the Legal Shield convention, and I didn't even know who she was. And I was like, stranger danger, like, get away from my kid. Like, don't touch him.
We all remember, all of us who were there remember when he came out on stage with you, and it was beautiful and inspiring. And
oh, he's got a speech planned for this year too. He's crazy.
Well, we appreciate you coming and pouring into us. Just absolutely fabulous. Thank you to everybody for staying on. We're a couple minutes over, but we are thrilled with this one. This is one for the archives. I know it's going to be posted on the Team Ascent website and YouTube channel probably before tomorrow's over. It'll upload. We'll get it up there. So get out to your team. If anybody missed it, they need to see that replay. Thanks so much, Timber. We appreciate you. Good night,
thank
everybody.
You guys. God bless y'all.
Thank you. You too.